For that, welcome to the webinar at Admiral Markets live trading room. My name is Chris Svorcik. Just want to confirm that that you can hear me first of all. Now it should be okay. Please type a Y or yes. Okay, thank you. I was asking the first time around, but no response. So, but that's because my mic was muted. All right, let's get started. Sorry, excuse me. I was saying that we're going to take a look at the live charts, but before we do that, as always, we're going to take a quick look at this PowerPoint to look at the risk disclaimer, one of those things that we have to do. All right. So welcome again to this live trading room at Admiral Markets. The risk disclaimer is explaining that trading in global financial markets is considered high risk and may not be suitable for all investors. Please seek the advice of an independent financial advisor for more information on that. And this webinar is for educational purposes only. So thanks for your attention on that. All right, we're going to take a look at the market, see if we can catch some trades on today, Wednesday, and Thursday, from 7:45 to 9:15 London time. I'm going to take a look if we can hopefully find a nice trade, either intraday swing or maybe even position trade. We're especially looking for breakouts. These are the black boxes that price breaks through. That's the breakout. And the Admiral Markets you can find on Twitter and Facebook. All right, so that's it. Short but clear, I hope. And let's move on to the calendar quickly to see if anything major is expected in our session and today. So we have the pound, 1 hour 40 minutes from now. We have the CPI. And otherwise, we have the German ZEW economic sentiment and the USD core CPI. So we have some core, some red tagged news events, but nothing like a FOMC to happen today. So let's move on and take a look at our euro dollar and other currency pairs. This is the dollar yen actually. The euro dollar and pound dollar seem pretty imminent for a break to the upside. I want to take a look at various indicators this time around, maybe instead of the classical technical analysis, but we'll do both depending on what we see in the market. I got a message from Rio saying no sound at 8:47. Does anyone else hear me? I got 3 yeses, but okay, great. Thanks for that. So I got some other confirmations. Perfect. Thank you so much. That's great. Then it's Rio's sound set or system. Good. Let's move on. The euro, of course, made a fantastic upside movement last week, Wednesday, after the FOMC statement. And we're looking at it Thursday, and we're saying that the euro downside isn't, or the correction of that downside isn't finished yet, right? And that certainly proved to be true, because not only Thursday, but even Friday and even Monday, it went into correction. All right, so that was quite a long correction there. All right, and now we're finally making, I was just answering Rio one more time and giving him advice regarding the sound. We're making higher highs and higher lows here. All right, so this has the potential of finally moving up and maybe breaking this top. Why do I think that breaking this top is very likely? Because usually speaking, a strong move like this, in most cases, if you have a strong AO like that, gets a follow through and a break of this top. Doesn't have to be much, but at least a bit to create divergence between those tops, and then maybe a downside. Depends on how much steam there is left to really break to higher grounds. Could break all the way to 133, but a break of that top seems very imminent and likely to me. The only question is when and where. When is a difficult question, because Thursday, Friday, Monday we didn't have any break, but today we're slowly but surely seeing a rounding here and the bull flag, which is something like this. Let me take all the lines off. Something like this is a bull flag, or, well, my drawing capabilities are not the best, but you know what I mean, something like that. Let me do it again. Something like this is a bull flag, right? A classical chart pattern, and we're breaking that. So that could be a good trade. Let's take a look at some other views on this chart. Let me take a look at this. This indicator is kind of like a Bollinger Band. It's a statistical indicator showing the likelihood of where the boundaries are of the currency. All right. So you see here we reach a very statistical max, just like the 4-hour chart, and we're back to the even median average on both the 1-hour and 4-hour. So that doesn't say much in this case, but just a quick indication what it is. I'm specifically looking for a move either to one of the two extremes, between the green or between the red, for this indicator. So in this case it doesn't help us much, but let's move on to something else. Let's take a look at this view on the euro dollar, and I'll open this template. That was weird. Anyhow, I opened a template, but it was a bit different view than I expected. Alrighty. This is the 5-minute world on the euro dollar. You can see we're moving back into the price is moving back to the moving averages, all right? And the stochastics here is dropping below 20, which is reaching an oversold position. And price is moving back to support. You can see clearly the moving average is having an upward slope right in here. And price is moving back. So this could be a bouncing spot right now. Also, if you look at the 1-hour chart, we had a pretty bullish 1-hour candle last hour. Clearly breaking this high right in here, where I'll draw a green circle. Clearly breaking that level, which was also a 4-hour resistance, right, as well. So this move down seems to be a retracement of last hour, and could be a good spot actually. Let me log into my live account. 1 second. So I'm looking for a bounce here on the euro dollar. Anyone else have an opinion they want to share with me regarding this EU? I think it could be the moment that we do get a continuation on the euro dollar to the upside. A lot of wicks at the bottom here. So I got some comments. Ashraf sees a good trendline support at 50-minute time frame, and Mindagas thinks that uptrend is in control. Yeah, I agree with you, definitely. I think that if you look at the size of this candle, it's almost, it's just wacky. I haven't seen that in a long time. Someone said 3 years, I believe that person. I mean, it's a 450-day candle, and I think the likelihood of a break, small, even if it's just a small break of this high, is very high statistically. It's never 100%, but I think it's definitely decent probabilities and decent odds that it's going to go eventually to take that high out without breaking this bottom. Now, of course, the question is, we cannot use a big stop loss like that. That wouldn't make sense. So we'll have to take a trade which has a smaller stop loss within this mess to hopefully catch that move to the upside, because using that, the safest level, is really too big, even though it's the safest. So that's the tricky part. The only tricky part is when and where's your stop loss. Those are really the only important questions I think at the moment. Although you never know, you could see, you never know, you could see something like that. I don't think it's likely. What you could see is a move up, and then a move down to the 50 fib, and then another move up. That's why where do you put your stop loss and when do you take it are important questions. Because otherwise, you could see a false move up and a one more move down and then up again. That's always a bit risk. Well, the break seems likely, so anything at least 10 pips above it, at least. But the real target would be 133. 133.20. Which is the 272 target right here. And also be aware of the 786 and 886 fib retracements at 132.75 and 133.40. So all those three levels could be key resistance. So I'll take a look at this 5-minute world. Let's see, 50-minute world. Trend line, someone was talking about a trend line here. Something like that. Looks good indeed. You can see also the moving averages pretty spaced out here. So getting slowly but surely some angle. It's not much, but there is increasingly more space, which is of course caused by this move up, this impulse, and now we're heading back to that. I just want to mark where the hourly low is here. 130.69, okay. Let's see, anything else I want to consider? I think the market looks pretty well set up here actually. I think I'll personally, we're already tempted here. It's a bit early maybe, but I think it's a bouncing spot. You can see the stochastics is turning a bit for the first time here, this candle. So let's see, 1 hour. I'm just checking all the time frames here. Oh, it's already moving up here as we speak. So, that's annoying. I was just wanted to take it here at 80 and now it's already at 84. I hate that. Just spiked like 6 pips, which is annoying. But yeah, that should be less slow. The hourly low is at 68, so that's where I would probably put my stop loss. Probably at 67. 67. So I'll take it right here. We got a small dip, 67. All right, it's a pity, but anyhow, still dipped a bit, a few pips here. Was thinking about 80. Was just about to click it in, but anyhow, doesn't matter. So let me punch in the stop loss quickly, which will be at, in my opinion, at 60, 67. But it could, yeah, I mean, a more aggressive stop loss would even be using basically this turn right in here. That's possible too, which is 77. That would be more 74. Because it is already turning here, so it would be kind of funky if it moved down again here and then bounced. You know, depends how aggressive you are. This is tighter, of course, more risky, a bit looser, less risky. I mean, this is all relative. It's still a 5-minute chart, so both are in a way risky, but you know what I mean. Within the 5-minute world, that this is of course even tighter, right? This gives a bit more space. I'm always annoyed if I have a plan to do something and then just at that second it flies up 6 pips. That if there's something that annoys me, then it's that. It's really can't stand that. Anyhow, let's see how it goes. I might move the stop loss, but for the moment I'll use this a bit wider stop loss. Would have been up 9 pips already if I got the better price. So some comments for those of you, or some comments from your side, I should say. Vitatus is saying that someone's buying the euro because France has been downgraded by Fitch. Problems in Portugal, Spain, and prices heading up. Indeed. And Kalen is asking if I took a short at 31.20. 31.20. No. No. You mean in the future, or have I taken in the past? So let me wait for Kalen on that. Pretty good move up here. Definitely looking more and more like a bounce. It stalled here just for a few minutes, right? And flew up a pretty good amount already for 5-minute world at least. You can see this is turning here. You mean if I want to take a short at 31.20 in the future today? Because today it hasn't reached that price level, right? As far as I know, it didn't reach 31.20 today. So in the future, no, I wouldn't. Personally, you know me. I wouldn't want to take any counter trend trades. Definitely not a trade that can potentially go against a big move up. To me, it's simply put, this is a very massive move up with a lot of power. I don't want to mess with that. Any shorting in here could be good. I'm not saying, but it's not something I'm focusing on. It's rather try to ride the power and catch the break of this top, which I think is likely. I think any shorting, especially now, is risky. If you were wanting to short the euro dollar, then if anything, after it made this huge impulse like this, then there's a high likelihood of bigger corrections, which you can see was this, right? So if you then decided to short somewhere in here, that would make sense, in my opinion, or even here, because there's a likelihood of a bigger correction happening, right? Something like this, what we've seen just now. So that makes sense. But now we're actually at a point that it's really very feasible and definitely a high probability that, a decent probability at least, that will make this move up with some ups and downs like this. Especially the euro dollar, once it gets going, it tends to stay in that rhythm of going in one direction. It's not like the pound that flies up, down, then finally chooses direction. So personally, I wouldn't be looking for it. But unless, please tell me if you have great reasons. We can take a look at that. Maybe I'll change my mind. So I'm all ears in a way, but let me know. Yeah, it hit the supports indeed, Richard. Definitely. It's classical bull flag, right? Classical chart pattern. Nice bull flag, huge impulse, downside, not much pressure, and last one we got a turn where we have now higher highs, higher lows, and we're changing gears a bit. Now could we still fall down to here and then move up? Yes. That's the problem with Forex trading, because there's always that risk. Probably the safest stop, the safest stop loss, is of course where, but that's way too far. The other stop loss that could make sense is, for example, under the 618, if you want to take a bigger swing trade, or under the 50 here. Those are stop losses that are bigger but are safer. We're using a very tight stop loss just to be able to catch the potential move. I see the hourly low is actually, the hourly low is a bit lower. Oh no, sorry. That was the 4-hour chart. Okay, scrap that. Erase that thought. Alrighty, let's move on. Any preferences? Otherwise, we could take a look at the pound dollar. Yeah, we can take a look at that. So Vitatus is asking about the dollar yen and the euro yen. We can take a look at that. I think first I still want to take a look at the pound just quickly. Here are statistical moving averages here, showing nothing spectacular here on the GU. Same bit of the same story here, in the sense that we too had a pretty strong up move, but we broke the top already. Then we had a 3-wave down correction. We found support, correction, looks like continuation too. Let's see, what else? Euro pound, it's right back at a weekly resistance line, right? Weekly trend line. That could be huge resistance. And we're stuck between that range, the top of the range that we broke, and those weekly trend lines right in here. So it'll be interesting if we break out of that and this top, or we're going to respect it and make one more move down maybe to this lower black trend line that could act as support. So Euro pound still stuck there. Let's take a look at the dollar yen and euro yen now. But before we do that, I'm just going to take a look at one more time at the euro dollar, because Caitlin has a question, or actually more comment, that even though it's in an uptrend, Caitlin is saying it's making lower lows from 3 days. So I'm not sure what you mean, Caitlin, lower lows last 3 days. You mean these levels here, Caitlin? Is that what you mean? Okay. Yes, but you have to realize, in my opinion, that not all lower lows or lower highs have the same meaning. This is not a downtrend. It's a bull flag pattern. It's a chart pattern that you see quite often, bear flag patterns, bull flag patterns. And they typically make lower lows and lower highs, bull flag, and bear flags, higher highs, higher lows. But it's actually a correction compared to the impulse. So that's typically the sequence. Now, not always does it happen. You know, there's always a 80-20%, maybe 80-20% scenario that, you know, there could be a 20% that this breaks down. But definitely the odds are higher for continuation. And if you look at the day chart, for example, you see, if you use multiple time frames, you see one move up, and these are just day candles going nowhere, and we're waiting for this now to happen again, basically. All right? Just because of the fact that on this time frame we have, and 1 hour, 4 hour charts, we have the lower lows and lower highs, doesn't mean that we're in a downtrend. Also, at the moment, actually we're making a higher high already, aren't we? Here, right now. Price is pushing above the last high, indicating a higher high, indicating the follow through. So because of this massive power to the upside and the weak response, which is expected afterwards, which is classical, a continuation of that is high. Do you know what I mean, Kellen? Did you ever hear? I mean, do you know what a bull flag pattern is? Because that would be very crucial. Okay, so to me it looks like that, and the lower lows and lower highs don't really mean much. It's just a correction of that massive upside impulse, and selling it now would be very risky. Selling it, as I said earlier, somewhere here earlier as a counter trend, quick bounce, basically exhaustion move down, because it just moved up so much. There's going to be some exhaustion. If you catch a good spot there to sell it for a few pips, that's fine. I know that someone in the trading room last week was looking for was in the downside. That's fine. Caught it at a good price, and aimed for 129.80. Price went to 129.90. Unfortunately, so that's also tricky with regard to where do you catch that trade. The profit. Sorry. So yeah, higher highs, higher lows, definitely important, but it does depend on the context. And if the lower lows are kind of just almost like more like triple bottom, because the difference between these lows are so little, then they're not so important as a trend definition. Okay, cool. So let's move on, see if we can find something else that is interesting to trade. In the meantime, the euro is getting some extra pushes. That's great. By the way, maybe we can think about some target here as well. Let's see. Let's see, up 10 pips now, was risking 17. But it looked indeed so that this could have been used as well. Not when I wanted to take it originally, right? When I said the first time I wanted to take it, because then it was definitely important to take this as a stop loss. But once we got a turn already here, and I took it at the dip, then it was different. Then this could have been used already. So there was a bit of a difference, right, between the first time I said it and then 2 minutes later after we made that impulse already. But these are very tight stop losses. These are very intraday stop losses, right? Let's see what could be a realistic target for this session. Well, to be honest, I'm going to watch this, keep watching this 5-minute chart for the moment. That's my plan. And I want to see how this 5-minute world behaves, because if it really starts to, if it would keep moving like that, then I'll just trail stop it using 5-minute chart, and we'll wait for a moment where the 5-minute candles stop making higher highs and higher lows for 30 minutes in a row. That's the moment where the most impulsive part will be over of the upside, and I'll just close the trade for whatever pips it is at that moment, which would probably be a decent amount. So it's more like a trail stop method at the moment I'll use. And we'll talk about this. We'll keep an eye on this, of course, and we'll talk about it a bit later if it were to be so, and if not, how, when, and where we will exit, or I'll exit at least. Okay, so let's move on to the dollar yen and see if there's anything else to trade. Here too I have this statistical band. Basically I'm looking for moments where the price is getting to a oversold area or a overbought area, as you can see. So still needs to go up a bit before we reach that oversold level on the day chart. Let's see, 4-hour chart. I would say we're more or less in a wedge here. If we connect the tops, connect these bottoms here, yeah, looks like a wedge. Could break to the other side. In fact, I mean, it's really caught in a no man's land, because if you look at the day chart, we can definitely see that there's a bigger top right in here. Then again, most recent price action, we're making higher highs and higher lows. On the 4-hour chart, it's in a wedge because we have still these tops here indicating lower highs, but we have these bottoms indicating higher lows. So it's a bit tricky. In a way, both sides could be tradable, in fact, because downside could be seen as a break of this trend line, a move down, hook back, continuation. A move up is equally justified by the fact that this move down went to support. We're finding support, breaking to the upside, and continuing this daily uptrend maybe to this 103 top, for example. All right, so the uptrade will be something like this, right in here. The down trade would be maybe somewhere in here, back to this level. So yeah, a break of both would be valid. We're not even close to it, I guess. Let's see. Another 40 pips to the upside to reach that trend line. Another 30 to the downside to reach the bottom trend line. In the meantime, we're hanging in the middle, and price is moving down slowly. If I look at the moving averages, I would say an upside is more likely. Let me take a look at the 50-minute world. Yeah. Yeah, it looks like we're actually retraced after a pretty strong move up here. And you can see we're making higher highs here for the first time in that after that correction downside, right? So to me, if I would have to make a choice right now, it looks like we're destined to make that upside to at least the top of this trend line. Is it a trade I would really like to trade? Not jumping for joy that much. I guess you could draw the trend line a bit steeper and you would have it touching that support level. That's always a bit iffy with trend lines, isn't it? The fact remains that last hour was a pretty decent bullish candle. We still have a higher low right in here though. Basically looking at all these time frames, the dollar yen looks quite mixed up. 1 hour is moving down, 4 hours up. Day chart, or 4 hours wedge, day chart is up. So it's 15-minute is up. It's quite choppy, but if I had to, as I said, if I had to make any bet, I would go long. Not sure if I really want to though. I mean, if I think it's worth it. I think we could probably find something better, I hope. But that would be my bet. Long here for target right in here. Sorry, target I'll make blue. And stop loss under the 50-minute fractal. All right. Let me see what the reason was for the dollar yen. Let's see. Many people are in long positions, Vitatis is saying. And Vitatis is wondering how this could affect the euro yen. As the euro, most people are long euro as well. Okay, so in that case, let's take a look at the euro yen as well. Euro yen is difficult because it did break out of that correction we have here, this channel. But the problem is that this blue channel I have on the chart, the problem is we're approaching the 131.10 level, which is the major high here on the day and 4-hour chart. That is a major level. We do have bullish price action, but 131.10 is still an important level for me because of the fact that if we don't break that, this could still turn out to be a very extended and prolonged head and shoulders pattern, and any move could still find resistance and maybe even break the neckline and go down from here. If we break above 130.10, then to me the likelihood of this becoming actually a sustainable move to the upside, where we have broken already out of this trend line like this, hook back, break, and go, is becoming more and more realistic and likely. So that's why I have these black trend lines to indicate the neckline, potential neckline of the head and shoulders, or this top orange line to indicate the major resistance there. Just like the top, of course, those two levels, major resistance. But there in between is a good trade, and above there's a good trade with the trend to the upside. And if you look at the daily, we retraced to the zero line already. So just like here we had a big correction, this could have been a big correction too. Or maybe even this entire thing is a correction. And slowly but surely we're going to the upside. So yeah, it makes sense, I think, to be bullish. We did break out of this trend line here, which could have signaled the caption of this correction, right? And broke out of that. The only thing is that I wouldn't want to trade it so close to this level. That's the only thing. That's a bit risky. All right, that's my opinion there. Let me take a look at the trend on this chart here. You can see, let's take a look at the day chart. You can see the day chart clearly. These are our Heikin Ashi candles, okay? And you can see clearly we had a beautiful uptrend. The candles have been green already since here, right? Which it's lasted forever. August 2012. Wow. Can you imagine? Almost a year of an uptrend, except here a bit of red, here a bit of red, here a bit of red, and here. Otherwise, everything was green on this day chart for uptrend. Now, some parts were more trending than others. The dark green are heavily in trend. The light green is a retracement, and then you have the grayish colors. That's when the price is in those three moving averages. All right. So now we're back in dark green, just like we were here. And we haven't been back in dark green ever since here. So that was a while back. So we're resuming, in that regard, it looks like we're resuming the uptrend. Now we have to be careful. You can see that here it just resumed a bit, made a bigger correction, and then you got the bigger continuation, right? So that's always something you have to be aware of and check multiple time frames and other tools. But I love this for trend definition. So if we then zoom into the 4-hour chart, you can see that on the 4-hour world we were heavily here on the downside, right? Because of that big correction. And the upside and the up movement was correction for more downside. But when we moved up here, hooked back and continued, the tables were turning, right? Yeah. Here too, you can clearly see we're in an uptrend on 4-hour, day chart, 1 hour. Yeah. So there's no doubt about that. 15-minute, everything is an uptrend at the moment. Week chart too. You can see that even if you look at the week chart, that basically the trend here on the weekly candles definitely green, light green, green, light green, and that this move down was just a light green retracement on the week chart, and we're back in dark green. Everything is an uptrend. The only thing really what is blocking, it doesn't make sense to take a trade here, right here, in my opinion, just because of the fact that we're boxing right at a resistance. And although the trend is up, there's no guarantee that price will go through that level right now, right here, today. That's the only thing. All right. Let's move on. Let me take a quick look back to the euro. Didn't get that continuation I was hoping for. That's a pity. because I was hoping actually for to catch that impulsive part of these move where it really like makes a substantial run for it within a very short time frame. And every 5-minute candle breaks the high, breaks the low, keeps moving. That hasn't happened yet, at least. So maybe the next turnaround, I'll still give it a bit of time. We still have, anyhow, 45 minutes in our session left. So we can give it a bit of time here. We haven't broken the 5-minute high the last 2 candles. This is only the 3rd candle. And the crucial number for me is 6 or 7. So we still have some time left here. Let's see how it develops. I mean, it would have been awesome if we would have got to that immediate upside. But maybe we can still get a turnaround. Maybe it's just a small hook back for more upside. Let's see. Just give it some more time to develop and mature. Just got a couple of questions, if you don't mind. 2 of them. Mindagas is asking if I'm using Supreme MT4. No, not that I know of, at least. And Kalen, is this some indicator green and red? This, if you're probably talking about this. That is a special indicator, indeed. Correct. Unfortunately, I cannot share because this is proprietary, this indicator, and so is the statistical band, unfortunately. All right, so I haven't shown it that much here because of that, because of the fact that you can't. I mean, I can't share it. But then again, most recently I was thinking like, why not use it? At least we can look at it together during our session. Let's take a look at New Zealand. New Zealand is really really ranging, very spiky up and down, no trend. At least recently no trend, especially on the 4-hour chart and the 1-hour chart. You just clearly see. Yeah, we can take a look at the Aussie as well, definitely. Just quickly taking a look at this New Zealand here. Let's see if there's anything of interest. Well, we're slowly but surely crossing to the upside. So maybe anything that would be a small upside trade, maybe to retest this top. But let's see. I don't know. It's iffy. Let's go. I would skip it because it doesn't look too neat anyhow. Let's take a look at the Aussie. Maybe there's something better to see. Not sure if I said it here, but 92.50 was a key level last week, but also 93.50 because of that daily 93.40 because of this daily high right in here, and any move up could still be a retrace of that. And indeed, despite the huge bullishness we had on or bearishness on the dollar after FOMC, the euro had that upside, the pound had the upside. Despite that upside, you can see that the Aussie made the same, but got really whacked on Thursday or Friday. Very interesting. Didn't go far though, in a way. It moved a few hundred pips, I'm not saying, but kind of made quadruple bottom almost, if you like, right in here, and is moving to the upside again. Making higher highs, higher lows here, so any up move will still find resistance, I believe, anywhere in this zone between 786 and top, maybe at the 618 right now already. But the price is definitely moving to the upside as we speak. So, that's any move down could basically still find support. There is a potential to go up back to the 786, which could be, for example, any of these levels could be the bigger resistance for a move down again, and then maybe break one more time to the downside. All right, something like that. That could be possible, something like that is a scenario. If we don't move up, but we break this trend line, that would still be a good sell, in my opinion. So any upside seems to me very limited because we are definitely running into major resistances. It could wander and keep making small upsides for quite a while still. But considering the fact that the Aussie has moved down so much recently, last week again, and the weeks and weeks and weeks before that, we're still in a downtrend. Never left that basically since beginning April. So assuming that it would change now, it's possible. One day the trend will have to end, but especially we'd say after we have like triple divergence, maybe at least double divergence, right? So there is that chance, but I wouldn't be that enthusiastic about it. Yeah, so basically what I think is catching a short break upon the break of this trend line or upon the reach of a higher fib like the 8 or 786 are the safest statistical plays. A long to those levels could be possible, but the problem is that not from here because I think we've already traveled a substantial amount to the upside. So if we were to make a correction here, then bounce off this trend line, break a 50-minute high here, hook back, and then continue, then that could be maybe a good, no, not a good, but a possible long. It's risky though to the upside. But here I wouldn't, would be careful. Maybe if anything, actually, right in here could be a good moment to go short when we break this 50-minute low, at least back to the trend line. That seems the most imminent trade. Bounce here could happen, as I said. That continuation trade could happen right there where I have the green horizontal lines, or if we break and hook back, that could be a good short. So maybe a short in here and either a long or a short upon the break of a long upon the bounce or a short after the break of the trend line. I think this is the most likely playing field. These spaces seem tight because we're of course on a 50-minute chart. So the downside would have the most space because there's more potential to fall than to rise, just because of the fact that we're closer to resistance than to support, logically. So Now this short in here is also not my favorite. This one really is my favorite, or from the 7886, 886. Why is that? It could definitely work, but don't forget that although it's with the trend on the higher time frame, this downside, it's actually counter trend on this time frame. So that makes it a bit, it's possible, but it might not move that fast. It might be slow, and it's actually, yeah, it's counter trend on this time frame. So it could just bounce off this trend line, and that's it. Someone's warning me that the euro dollar doesn't look good. Let's take a look. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4. We have 4 candles now underneath this high right in here. Yeah, it's not looking as I was hoping it would look like. That's for sure. Because after this start, was hoping for kind of an immediate continuation. And then again, we had, as I said, 4 candles now. So to me, the next 2 candles are really crucial. If we can't break this high the next 10 minutes, then I'll probably take off the trade, I guess. Yeah. Looks like we're making another hook back. So hopefully we'll get a continuation. If we don't, then who knows? Maybe it's just a double top, bigger correction, find some support in here, move up in New York. Who knows? So let's see how this continues. We are moving up a bit just as we speak. Still has some distance to travel though before we reach the 131 level. This is something. This type of candle is something I like now because, as I said, there's a time limit to the trade. So the fact that we're getting this kind of candle right now is good, in my opinion. It's coming right at the right moment. Otherwise, I would be really getting a bit leery about it. Good, good, good. That's exactly what I wanted to see. So let's see. We haven't broken the top yet, of course, but it is a good indication. Let's see. Let's keep an eye on this one. Still have 6 minutes, 6 to 11 minutes for this top to be broken, I would say. But the fact that we got such a pretty decent candle is making me hopeful. So let's go back to, let's keep an eye on it. Let's move on though, otherwise we should just be staring at the candles. That's never the wisest thing to do. Let's take a look at the euro odd. Mindagas has a question on that. Let me get rid of all these objects, okay? So we have a nice clean, good looking chart. Well, it's not triple top in my opinion. Just because this break was 60 pips. That's quite big. Doesn't fit within the guidelines for that. Even this is 20 pips difference. So that wouldn't qualify for me. To me, this is more looking like upside with a bigger correction, and the fact that we broke above these tops signals to me probably a higher likelihood of more upside because we broke that top. It definitely doesn't have to be so, but you know, that would be the most likely in my opinion. Usually speaking, yeah. So this is a retrace to me for more upside. All right, I wouldn't underestimate the fact that this is still an uptrend, massive uptrend here. We had some bigger correction right now, right there. Brought this back to the zero line. But this could travel still a few hundred pips before we get more divergence, more probabilities that the trend is bending and then fall for a bigger correction, even bigger correction than this. So, you know, I wouldn't consider this triple top. I mean, it could still be the turning spot, Nuggets, and this is just the last push up after a tremendous uptrend. You never know. It is possible. But if I consider the fact that this is back to the zero line, and this was a pretty high AO reading, then it's in a way, I don't know why I didn't think about it, but in a way that this top was broken isn't that strange now. I just didn't see it. There's so many things to look at, sometimes so many currencies, so many time frames. But if you use this rule of thumb that the AO reading, wherever it really peaks a lot, and then you got to move back to the zero line, the likelihood of that peak, which is here, being ended, that it's being broken, excuse me, is very high, then this is quite logical in a way. I just didn't see it at that time. Didn't look at this same time frame. I was more looking at 4-hour charts. In any case, when the uptrend stops, that's always difficult to say. These trends can sometimes really push and push and push. If you look at the week chart and you would fib the first move, the first 3 waves up here, maybe we can push all the way to the minus 1,000, which is 147.60. And that's still 500 pips from now. Let me take a look at some other stuff here. We're back at the 1-hour moving average. Let's see. That could be already a bouncing spot as we are speaking, actually. Let me see if we fib this entire up move. Funny thing was that I was thinking about buying it right in here. I wish I did. That would have been a pretty neat catch there. We're right at the 382 fib as well. Interesting. This could be a bouncing area as we speak. It doesn't have to be the bouncing area because we could move up, then make another fall to the 50, move up, make another fall to the 618, and that could be the bouncing spot for more upside. But the 382 could give a bounce already, actually. So I'll keep an eye on. This seems interesting to me. I'll keep an eye on this 50-minute local high at 142.60. If we break above there, could be a good small trade back to somewhere in here, 50 pips or so. Wouldn't want to target anything more because, as I said, any move up could still encounter resistance that will push it back down, either for a bounce and a continuation or for a bigger move back to the 50 fib. So I'll put this one on the watch list. Until now, I didn't really say anything interesting. when looking at the yens and the Aussie. Maybe the Aussie downside here, right? But the euro odd looks a bit better to me so far. Let's go back. Someone's asking me about the euro dollar. Okay, so we had, okay, just a 5-minute candle finished right now. So we had 2, 4, 6 candles. Yeah. Doesn't look that great. Didn't break the top as I was hoping for, despite the good-looking candle or movement. Last 5 minutes didn't go anywhere. So I don't know. It's still above the moving averages. Let me see. 3.5 pips. Probably just move it to +1, I guess, and see if the stop loss doesn't get taken out. If so, then what can you do? Maybe re-enter later on in the day. If it survives, that's just a nice bonus. So maybe to half a pip or something like that. It's not much space there, but that's what I do. It's not, as I said, that was the idea that I had in my mind, so I think it's best to stick to that concept that was laid out as the trading plan. It's something that we can't do anything about. I mean, it has still the hallmarks. Let me say it this way: nothing really substantial changed. To me, it still looks upside. It still looks bullish. The only thing is that the question of when is becoming more iffier. That's all. We were making higher highs and higher lows on this 1-hour chart. We broke out of the bull flag on the 1-hour chart. Right in here. Price is above it. We had a pretty strong impulsive 1-hour candle here. Just a sideways candle right next to it. So did I get taken out? No, I'm still in. Okay. So the question is, when is it going to move and how fast? So far, it did move up, but not as as impulsive as I was hoping for. This was a great start, and I was just hoping for a continuation of that. Boom, boom, boom. That would have been awesome. But so far, we definitely had a major pause here. I would say this is a major pause for 5-minute world, where we had already 6 candles. That's a pretty significant part of a session already, I would say. I mean, session is 3 hours. First 3 hours, right? That's still until I am saying are the most important, but usually the impulse lasts maybe an hour, 15, hour and a half, and the rest is correction. So I was hoping to catch that impulse right in here. And in that regard, it's a pity I didn't catch it right here, because then the entry would have been at the moment even under this bottom. That would have been even better place to have a trade move to break even. But yeah, maybe the news indeed, the pound news indeed in 35 minutes, that could have been a factor that breaks this movement of the currency, definitely. Even the euro dollar. Yeah, nothing we can do about that. That is true. The pound news will be released in 35 minutes. Unfortunately, I can't wait for that because I have a dentist appointment, unfortunately, right an hour and 5 minutes from now. So I really needed to catch an intraday trade today. I had no choice because I don't want to leave or more a scalp trade. I didn't want to leave a trade on with a tight stop loss when I'm gone, except if it's a swing trade. That would be something different. If it's a real swing trade that's aiming for a few hours at least of price action, that's fine, no problem. So that could explain the quietness. Let's then take a look if there's any swing trade possibility here. Maybe this euro odd. It's more of an intraday trade, to be honest. But it could be a good bounce if, for example, the euro odd will get a 1 hour high here and it breaks that 1 hour high. Then it's becoming more a potential swing trade. But we always be aware of the fact that if it moves up, beware of this resistance that could push it back to the 50-fib. You don't want to, live through that. You want to either take your profit, move to break even, and get out of that trade. And hope that it does break to the upside from the 382. So that seems interesting. 382 bounce. Anything else? Let's take a look. Let me take a look at the Aikanashi here. You can see that the AO is returning to the 0 line on the 4-hour chart. This was the exact bouncing spot when we hit those longer term moving averages. I think this looking at current spot, I think it could be a good bouncing spot. Let me take a look at this indicator, see if, no, okay. Yeah, you can see we did have some good trades from here, from here, from here, from here, from here, from here. But currently, maybe a small dip down would bring us in that zone of trying to, oversold in a way. You can see that this oscillator is way back down here. So we're definitely reaching an area of support, looking at this indicator. Yeah, and any move down could find support for that upside. Even if we move down, this itself could be the bouncing spot already. Let's see. You can see that the angle is pointing to the upside, so we have enough space now to the upside, confirming the technical analysis point of view I had a while back as well. Euro New Zealand, let's take a look at that. Let me get rid of everything. Let's see. Well, it's definitely double top. This is classical double top. Head and shoulders, I don't see any personally. It's just, in my opinion, it just looks like a massive move up. And double top, good correction. Either a bounce for more upside or a retrace for more downside. Don't see any head and shoulders because we don't have any left shoulder here. That would be equal to this level, somewhere here. But it definitely could be retraced to the downside, if that's what you mean. Inverted head and shoulders. Okay. Yeah, that makes more sense to me because that could happen like this. We move down, bounce in here, and you would get that pattern. Maybe one will move down, and then again a bounce, and you would have a very symmetrical inverted head and shoulders indeed. Yeah, that could be that could happen, absolutely. The AO is back to the zero line. Which could mean that the retrace, downside retrace, is finished maybe. But we can definitely move down and up. And when we break this fractal that we will eventually get on top of this high, if we do move down, the break of that fractal will be the confirmation of where I have that green line of the fact that this is a retracement, the AO. So that's actually a very likely pattern, Kaylin. I like that. I like the analysis. Looks good. So what that means is that there could be a small trade to the downside here, somewhere to this level, and then the bigger trade would be a bounce from here, and the absolute biggest trade would be when we break the next time we move up, we break this top, move down again, the next break, that would be probably the biggest trade, anywhere from this bounce or from the blue line. So let's see if that ties into it would be indeed a continuation in this case. Well, it would be a reversal. I mean, if you look at depending on the time frame you look at, right? This was pretty good downside here. It was on a 4-hour chart, definitely a downtrend. So when it moves down and bounces on this chart, it's definitely a trend reversal. On a higher time frame, it's a trend continuation indeed. We're making lower lows and lower highs. I don't like the fact that this moving average is so close by. So we could make a fall here. Let me put a fib on it as well. Now let me put this level. No. Let me put a horizontal line right in here to indicate where that head and shoulders area could be. Then we'll zoom down to 1 hour world. There's plenty of space actually. A lot of space. Then again, it doesn't have to go that low. It is a possibility, but it could bounce off other levels as well. Yeah, and to me, the likelihood that it could bounce at the 382, 50, or 618 are also possible. So I'm not interested in the downside. To me, this is already making higher highs, higher lows. Any move down is a retracement. You could find support at those levels, especially somewhere around here, I would say, or here. The 50, you never know, could be a big spot too. So that's the problem with those counter trend trades. You never know which retracement fib will be used. And I would rather wait for the down move to happen and see if I can catch a bounce somewhere in here like this. We bounce somewhere, make a higher high. And then break. The next break would be a bounce trade. But it could move that low indeed, definitely. Let's see, dollar yen is apparently moving to the downside. Okay. Well, then I was wrong. It's good I didn't take that trade. Definitely found it very iffy. That's why I didn't take it, right? Because we could take this one away. The original trend line I had was this one, and price was basically stuck right in the middle of that wedge on the 4-hour chart. 1 hour is down, day chart is up. Definitely very iffy. So it's good I avoided that one. Happy about that. What's the euro dollar doing? Oh, wow. Well, good we got out of that one. That's one way that time factor really helps with the knowing when the trade is iffy. And I'm getting more and more experience in time factor to know that this just didn't have enough power, didn't have enough momentum to keep going forward. Although the trend was up, the movements were up. If it doesn't happen fast enough, then you can see what happens if we don't break a high. Wow, we get a pretty decent retracement. Now, of course, still on the 15-minute world, it's just actually hooking back to bigger support levels. But as I said, it's all a question of when and if and where. And if you didn't move it to +1, stop loss just got taken out here because none of these stop losses are safe. All right, it could do a lot in this area, still move up. And it's all a question of when and if compared to the stop loss. It's very tricky. Pretty major 1 hour candle actually. Wow. So it's good we got out of that one. $30.61. Let's see. See, the thing is, indeed, totally agree, Kalen, is that despite this, pretty nice downside on the 5-minute world, if you then look into the 1 hour world, and you see then clearly, of course, the price actually hooking back to the broken trend line, actually hooking back to the higher low, sorry. Higher low here, higher highs. So it's still going back to retrace. If you put a fib maybe on this, it's an iffy fib, but on this last move up, the 130.62 is a 786. That seems like where it's bouncing off right now. So this too could be again a good bounce straight for upside. I don't know if that's the wisest maybe thing to do with 22 minutes before that news announcement. That could definitely affect the euro dollar too. I can't take it because as I said, I'm going to have to leave my office here very soon. So, but from from the 5-minute world, definitely looking like we're back at support, just like we were here, even bigger support. Right. So let's see if we can turn on the oscillator, but very iffy with that news event so close by. Plus the German DW getting closer as well, of course. But you can see that despite the 30 pip down move that we're finding support right in here. All right, so that's the thing with uptrends and taking downtrends, counter trend trades. You never know where they turn. Just a Euro CAD quickly. Pretty interesting situation here. We have a pretty good move up that broke the weekly trend line, and we actually hooked back to that trend line at the 50 fib, bounced up, and we're right at a resistance line. So it'll be interesting to see if we can break that resistance line and move up, or do we bounce off the resistance line back to the 618. So the Euro CAD, just a heads up there, found pretty interesting situation. Which trend line am I talking about? You might think that's this weekly trend line. If you connect the tops on the weekly chart, so then zoom into the day chart, you can see that we couldn't break it 4 times in a row. The 5th time, we were able to break that, and we had a small hook back twice, then a bigger hook back here, bounce, and then again a bigger hook back here and bounce, and we're right at that trend line. So that'll be interesting if we can break, or do we still bounce to the 618 and maybe then break. Interesting position of the Euro CAD. Pound Swissy is basically still stuck in that massive sideways range back to the bottom of that sideways range actually. So maybe we bounce one more time back to the top. Although most recently, in fact, if you look at the most recent price action, you can see a down move, bounce down, bounce down. It looks like a descending wedge here. So maybe we this time around we can finally break to one side or another and break outside of those orange sideways lines that have been capturing the price action of pound Swissy for a very long time and have been showing the magnitude of this sideways range, very very well. So let's take a look at the dollar CAD quickly. Here too we could put also a trend line at the bottoms and the tops, both interesting. There's maybe a bigger support line here that you can see when you connect the bottoms. So maybe the move down was back to some bigger support. So a break above this red trend line would still be interesting to me. A break below the blue one could be interesting, but be aware of potential support, maybe somewhere here. Euro odd, we talked about that one. Euro New Zealand 2. Pound odd, pound New Zealand will be roughly the same. Odd New Zealand is basically still stuck in that sideways range. Although, of course, it has been in a great downtrend. As of recently, price hasn't moved much anywhere, just going sideways. So of all these currencies, I would say I like the euro odd at the moment. I still like the euro dollar, pound dollar for upside, odd dollar for downside. Euro CAD for both, basically. Dollar CAD for up, probably, but maybe both as well. Euro odd for up. Yeah, that's about it, I guess. EJ for up, but definitely not now, because look at that rejection here from that potential top, maybe. It got close, anyhow. Yeah, that's about it, I would say. So some good stuff. I'm not sure when it's going to happen. Let's go back to our euro. Euro not getting much of a bounce. Definitely, if you look at this 1 hour price action candlestick formation, it's quite a rejection. So that, who knows? It could send the euro a bit lower, or could it bounce here? It's iffy. Don't look at this indicator for the 5-minute world. It's iffy. I would definitely wait. Apply the same methodology that we used here regarding time factor. If we don't break this bottom for 30 minutes, move up, and then move down here and don't break it, this is already 30 minutes at least or more, then this could be debouncing spot maybe for upside. Sorry. But otherwise, if it, at the moment we're still exposed to the fact that it could continue to retrace a bit deeper. One way we can measure that is by using the time factor on this 5-minute chart. That's about it, I guess. Nothing else I see. If you see any other currencies, let me know tomorrow. We can take a look at that because I will have to wrap it up for today. A bit earlier than maybe normal, but as I said, I have to undergo the pain of a routine checkup. Vitatis is asking if previous week close level could play as support. No idea. I never look at that really as potential support. I mean, if no, I wouldn't know if it has any value there. Couldn't say. Could be a great idea, but not sure. Graham, I thought you were here last week, but maybe not, or maybe you missed it. I did check, and unfortunately, the FIB webinar was not recorded. It was one of the 3 that wasn't recorded. The other 2 were breakouts and divergence, I think, which is a real shame because that's actually, yeah, it's a real shame because we use FIBs a lot, and we use a lot of breakouts in this session and divergence as well. So it's like many of these main concepts that I really use a lot are not exactly the ones that were not recorded somehow. No idea. So I asked last week how many people were interested. Not many responded, unfortunately, because I wouldn't mind to do it again. But I can always ask. I don't think it would be that big of a deal if we have one session with FIBs again. Or maybe we could make it, tie it in with the other 2 and make like 3 sessions of FIBs, divergence, and breakouts. It would be maybe too fast, but or concentrate on FIBs and dive quickly in those others too. So I'll ask that, okay, Graham? Let's see if it's possible. Because I think it would make sense. Alrighty, folks, I'm going to have to leave. Let's see how far this euro-dollar corrects to the downside before we find renewed support. I still am under the belief that this top will be broken. I think that's a high percentage. I would even give it 90 to 10. But you never know. It would be wacky for me to see this huge impulse not have any follow-through and indeed move totally down like this. That would be really surprising me, but you never know. If until then, I'm definitely still trying to catch a trade that would break this top. The only question is when and if, and with which stop loss, because as I said, the stop loss here is too wide, too big, and placing the stop loss under FIBs could make sense, but even that is a pretty big stop loss. That's the only tricky part about this scenario, is just the entire space is so massive, because you're basically looking at a 1 hour chart that in fact incorporates a total weekly candle. And that just makes things a lot trickier with regard to stop loss and catching a trade, even though I think the likelihood of breaking the stop is very high. That's the only thing. So let's see. Maybe we can still catch it tomorrow together if it were to bounce up and down for the rest of the day. In the meantime, I wish you a great trading day and a great day in general, and hope to see you all tomorrow. Please join us and see if we can catch an intraday trade. Hopefully we'll see something good for the swing trades as well. Didn't concentrate on that much, but didn't see anything 1, 2, 3 this morning. So let's see if we can catch one tomorrow. All right. So hope to see you tomorrow, and see you all soon. Cheers.